Now, if it comes, that also need not be a sign of ego. Appreciation is different from, say, seeking glorification. Appreciation is just a human connection where the heart needs to, every heart, we live in such a big world, complex world, that it is very easy to feel, does my existence even matter? I'm so small. And do my endeavors matter? Is my life also of any value? So we need a sense of appreciation so that we have a sense of value. So basically, when we talk about our vision of ourselves, how we look at ourselves, I'll conclude with this point that generally we think of humility and its opposite is pride or arrogance. Well, there is some truth to that. A more holistic vision is a pendulum. On one side is pride, arrogance or pride. The other side is actually insecurity or inferiority. And in between the two is humility. So arrogance or pride or ego, when that is there, what it means is, I can do everything. And ultimately, I am everything. Ishvaro aham bhogi. I can do everything. That is ego. Insecurity or inferiority, that can lead to inferiority complex, that can lead to sense of worthlessness. It says, I can do nothing. I am worthless. Ultimately, I am nothing. But the reality, see, this arrogance is Mayavad. That I am everything. I am nothing is Shunyavad. So, Mamaiv amsho jiva loke. I am something and I can do something. So that is humility. That I am not the whole, I am not everything, I am not nothing. But I am something. So sometimes, when in trying to give up ego, we go towards insecurity and inferiority. And that is pathological. That is not at all healthy. And many of the people who seem to be very proud, actually their ego is simply a cover-up for their insecurity. So the people who have the least respect for themselves demand the most respect from others for themselves. That I don't value myself, I don't respect myself, and I compensate for that by demanding respect from others. And that's why people who have the least respect for themselves become the most agitated when others show the least disrespect to them. Small thing, forget it and move on. So it's for them, it's not just ego, it's insecurity. If this person doesn't respect me, then do I even matter? Am I even valued? So that is not healthy. If I come into the temple and instead of looking at the Lord and wanting to bow down to the Lord, if my first thought is, how many people are bowing down to me? Then that is not at all Krishna consciousness, isn't it? So, if I enter the temple, how many people bow down to me? If that person entered, why did more people bow down to that person? So we're completely missing the point over there. So that happens when we have insecurity. So bhakti actually frees us from both. So nija jana smaya dvamsana smita. What that means is that pride does give us some sense of pleasure. When others honor us, when others respect us, when others praise us, that gives us some pleasure. But actually, when we behold the beauty of Krishna, that gives so much more pleasure that the pleasure from pride becomes insignificant. So, nija jana smaya, that for those who are devoted to Krishna, when Krishna smiles at them, that means when Krishna is pleased by their service, Krishna reveals his beauty, that's when the higher taste comes. And when the higher taste comes, then whatever taste we might have in getting glorification and recognition from the world, that just becomes pale and stale. So for us, even if sometimes we are doing some service and we are seeking glorification from others for that service, that doesn't mean we should give up the service. We still do the service. The cure for pride is not the suppression of talent. It is the purification of intent. That, suppose somebody can sing nicely. They think if I sing nicely, I'll become proud. Somebody can speak well. They think if I speak well, I'll become proud. Well, it is not like that. The cure for pride, it is by actually singing for Krishna, by speaking for Krishna, by managing for Krishna, by counseling for Krishna, we will connect with Krishna, we'll get an experience of Krishna, we'll get a higher taste, and that's how we will become free from pride. The cure for pride is not the suppression of talent. It is not the rejection of service. Oh, this service will make me proud, so I won't do this service. It is not the rejection of service. It is the purification of intent. So and how does the purification of intent happen? At one level, that is conscious, we try to do it. Krishna, I am not doing this so that I'll be praised by the world. I am doing this for your pleasure. But at the same time, it also happens at a automatic or this is conscious effort, and there is also mercy. By Krishna's mercy, what happens is that we get the higher taste. And then no longer the world's glorification matters for us. So the gopis are saying, Krishna, if you think it is because of our pride that we have come away, you have abandoned us, then please, Krishna, return and free us from the pride. Nicha jana smaya dvamsana smita. So we can just recite this once and then we'll stop.
Vraja janartihan virayoshita nija jana smaya dvamsana smita. Bhaj sakhe bhavat kinkarismano jalaruhananam charudarshaya
So today I spoke on two main points. The first was about kamadam, about lust we discussed, and the second was about pride. So in each of these, discussed three main points. In lust, we discussed about how the gopis, they don't have lust, but out of humility, they are saying that even if we have lust, then the gopis, some gopis may have had lust. That is the Swargavasi gopis or the Apsaras. Then we talked about the difference between lust and love. It is not just physical, it is more about selfless or selfish. It is whether I'm seeking a relationship, why? Because you will do something for me, or is it because I want to do something for you? And then we talked about how even if there is lust, I discussed the example of an itch, it is not that every itch becomes addictive. That it is only when there is a disease. So the idea is, if there is no disease, the desires, they come and go. And then especially desires which are in the frame of dharma or bhakti, then what happens is, we may pursue those desires, we will not be able to give up those desires, but gradually we will become elevated. So material desires should not be considered as a disqualification. We may be unqualified, but we are not disqualified. And then with respect to pride, we also discussed about how it is thought that the gopis thought we are so special. And that was thought to be their pride. At least they are thinking like that. Here I will discuss basically about how philosophy is about making sense of things that don't make sense. So they are trying to figure it out. Why has Krishna abandoned? Is it because of our lust? Is it because of our pride? So then, with respect to pride, I discussed about how the word pride has a positive connotation nowadays. It's more in the sense of honor. In negative sense, it is arrogance. So, with respect to pride, that rather than think of ego or arrogance, there is arrogance. Humility is not the opposite of it. It is more of in between. I can do everything, I can do nothing. It is, I can do some things. And with respect to, if we have some pride, better to seek respect in respectable circles. That means do honorable things. And by that, gradually what will happen is, we will get a higher taste if we serve Krishna. So we cannot jump from mundane consciousness to spiritual consciousness. We need a gradual step-by-step approach. Pure devotees. So even if somebody is seeking honor, they should not be condemned, but they need to be dovetailed so that they can gradually come to Krishna. The cure for pride is not the rejection of service or the suppression of talent. It is the purification of intent. So thank you very much. Are there any questions? We have a few minutes. Okay. Yes, where's the mic? Do we have?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for a wonderful class. So one thing after hearing all this, which first word which came to my mind was Krishna.
Can go also into deeper into what is the motivation for the high more, or so that I can serve you better. If I have a higher taste, then I'll be less distracted by the things of this world. And then I can render better service to you. So we could say, certainly we can pray for higher taste, but we can also pray that Krishna, let my motivation for that also be selfless. It is for your service that I want the higher taste. Okay?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhuji, we don't celebrate Radha Ashtami with that prominence the way we celebrate Janmashtami. And many modern thinkers says that because of the male-dominated society, we put Krishna into the center and celebrate Janmashtami and more prominent than how should we handle that, and what is your perspective on this?
Well, Janmashtami is only one day. Durga Puja is 9 days, you know. In fact, Durga Puja goes longer than Diwali also, isn't it? So, it's Krishna says that knowledge in the mode of ignorance is yattu krutsnavad ekasmin karye saktamahaitukam. So, it is to make one thing into everything. So, everybody, or many people who are passionate about some cause, they reduce all of reality to that one cause only. Like somebody gets a hammer and they find, okay, with this hammer I can hit this nail. Without it I was not able to hit. So the hammer works. Yeah, the hammer works for hitting a nail. But then, once the hammer works for them, everything becomes a potential nail for them. So, that is the problem with any theory which gets absolutized. So, feminism is a lens. And some things can be seen from the feminist lens. But when that lens becomes the only way we see the world, then the vision becomes very distorted. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, Radharani and Gopis are internal potency of Krishna. They are all in Yoga Maya, but we are in Mahamaya. How they will get pride, Prabhuji? There are internal
Are you
potency.
going to come for the Radhashtami class? Are you coming for the Radhashtami class? Because that's the time when I'm going to discuss about that whole thing. About the Gopis they had not become proud actually. So it was something, a different emotional dynamic that was going on. Let's discuss it on that day.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thanks, Prabhuji.
Any of the Matajis have questions? Okay, here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat. My friend had a question which he wanted to ask, he could not come. So he was saying that the new generation are, when the phone is inseparable for them, and in his office, phone has been banned. So he wanted to ask, not for confidentiality, so he wanted to ask, does that really help?
Does banning phone help?
Yeah.
Well, generally speaking, some amount of boundaries, some amount of regulation is required. Now, the exact degree, Sri Krishna talks about boundaries several times in the Bhagavad Gita. The idea of yada samharate chayam, withdraw your senses, 258. Like a tortoise withdraws its limbs, that is there. Or for that matter, tasmat tvam indriyanyadav niyamya bharatarshava. He talks about 341. Or abhyasa and vairagya. Vairagya has two means to control the mind. Vairagya can mean boundaries. So boundaries are required everywhere. Say, in any activity, say male-female interactions. Now, if you consider, traditionally, the boundaries were more geographical. Males worked in particular areas, females worked in particular areas. Their roles in society were different. So now geographical boundaries might not be there. But now there is another boundary. That is consent. Isn't it? That is considered an inviolable boundary. And if that is violated, it's considered a severe crime. So there always have to be boundaries. Now, the thing is, what is the exact boundary that will work for particular times? So now, traditionally, if you consider with respect to lust, now there could be tradition or social convention that could be a boundary. There could be consent as a boundary. Actually speaking, the greatest boundary should be the best, the most sustainable boundary is purification, is love for Krishna, wanting to respect him and serve him. But the principle is boundaries are required. Now, there is, within the Mahabharata, there is an elaborate discussion on this topic, that there are many things which may be immoral. But should everything immoral be made illegal? They're two different things. Immorality is a boundary. Illegality is a boundary. Say speaking lies is a bad thing. But should speaking lies be made a penalizable crime? Well, if in a legal document it is there, if in a court while giving evidence it is there, it's true. Speaking lies is a bad thing. But imagine if the police had to catch and punish everybody who spoke a lie. You know, how many police we would need? And we would need police to police those who are speaking a lie. Isn't it? So everything immoral cannot be made illegal. So, for example, prohibition, where alcohol was banned. Now, it doesn't work really very well, because people just go and seek alcohol through underground means. So, now does that mean that there should not be any banning of any things? Not necessarily. Say, drugs were banned. And to a large extent, that kept society safe. Now, as drugs are becoming more and more, in America, they are trying to legalize drugs. Now, some people have the argument that so much money is spent in persecuting people who are handling drugs. Instead, let us use that for rehabilitating drug users. So, California, Arizona, many states have now Colorado, they have all made not just like pot, but even more serious drugs, they made them legal. So there is a big debate about that. The point is that we cannot make everything immoral into illegal. Hmm? So banning something is like making it illegal. That's broad equivalent. So which boundary will work in which social context, that varies. So I think rather than an absolutizing principle, it has to be phalena parichayate. Sometimes some boundaries do help. Say, like it is said, out of sight is out of mind. That's one saying. So if you are fasting, have no food near you, then the thought of food will also not come. But then conventional wisdom also said separation makes the heart grow fonder. When something is not available, you crave for it more and more. Isn't it? So which one will work? The mind is a peculiar thing. So whether boundaries help or they don't help, that has to be seen according to social context. So with respect to phones specifically, now some people may try the experiment of banning phones, and maybe in that context it works. Some other places it may not work. So generally speaking, cultures itself, they can be more vertical, they can be more horizontal. So vertical means that there is authority and there is a subordinate. So generally Eastern cultures are more vertical. Western cultures are more horizontal. See, in the way, now as the Western ethos is coming to India also, even in companies when you work, you call your boss by the first name. So, but in some more traditional companies in India, say manufacturing, not software, other fields, there you call your boss by sir or Mr. so-and-so or whatever. So this is just working, different ways of working. So generally something like banning, it will not work in cultures where it's become more and more horizontal. It just absolutely won't work. Maybe in cultures where it's more traditional, where authority is respected. Not just respected, authority is implicitly respected. Then banning can work. Now the problem with banning, actually this is in the Mahabharata, and there are commentaries written by not devotees, but general secular scholars on the Mahabharata also. They say that whenever any rule is made, we should be thinking not just of what all good will come through the application of that rule. We also need to be thinking of what all bad can come through the misapplication of this rule. So, for example, banning phones. That can be done to protect people from distraction. But if tomorrow there is a dictator who comes to power, that dictator can use the banning of phones to keep people in ignorance, to keep people fed with their own narrative. Isn't it? So many times when bans are made, they may be made with good intent, but the potential for misuse is there. And the potential for misuse may actually outweigh the positive benefit that may come from it. So ultimately, the people have to be trained in self-restraint. That is the key thing. There's a prominent psychologist, Carl Jung. He said the problem with technology is that technological growth infatuates us so much that it blinds us to the need for moral growth. What he means is that, see, the more power we get externally, the more power we need internally, so that we can use that external power better. Otherwise, that external power will be abused. But so the solution is to take away the external power from people. Phones are power in one sense. You can contact anyone, you can get any information. Now we may say, oh, that power is being misused. But is taking away the power the solution? Maybe in a transitional phase, till the person develops inner power. That may be helpful. So for example, banning phones for children, for teenagers up to a particular age, that is fair enough. See, even in the most liberal societies in the West, they acknowledge that, for example, certain things children should not be exposed to. Say, for example, drinking alcohol may be legal, but children taking alcohol is illegal. So, advertising is legal, but advertising targeted towards small children, that is illegal. So, sexuality is very common. I mean, sexual propaganda is very common, but sexual propaganda directed towards preteens, for example, for children, the premature sexualization of children is considered bad, even in the West. So, the idea is that if outer boundaries, if the rigid enforcement of outer boundaries helps a person to develop inner restraint, that is good. But if the outer boundaries, they are imposed in three situations, they are imposed without even educating the intelligence why these boundaries are required, then they will backfire. And they will very strongly backfire. People will use their intelligence to find a way to break the boundaries. Then other thing is, without the facility to develop restraint, self-restraint. That it's not just, okay, this is bad for you and you should not do this till this time. But how do I develop that? So, for example, if people are helped to develop more constructive engagements where they themselves find a sense of meaning and value, then the facility has to be there. And then most important is inspiration has to be there. By facility means practical means. Okay, what can I do? And inspiration generally comes from association. Inspiration comes from a sense of this is what I can achieve. So then outer boundaries are helpful. But otherwise, arbitrarily imposing outer boundaries, it just doesn't work. In America, there is abortion. There was a big case, Roe v. Wade was a case where America, there are two groups, the pro-life and the pro-choice. So the Supreme Court decision was overturned, by which they said that it is not a constitutional right to abort. So they said that we should have, India is a federal state. India is a federation. America is a confederation. Federal means what? The center has power and the center gives power to the states. Confederation means the state has power and the state gives power to the center. So any state in America, Texas, if it decides, it can secede from America. So no state in India can do that like that. So the point is, they decided, let all states decide on their own. And some states rigidly imposed, those were the Republican states, more conservative, they rigidly imposed abortion. They said that, abortion in no case should be allowed, even if the woman has been raped, even if there's a risk to the woman's life. And then that spectacularly backfired. Tragically backfired. So there's mass agitation against it. And now even those politicians who are supporting some kind of regulation on abortion, they also backpedaled on it. So generally, top-down imposition of regulation just doesn't work. The way it is portrayed is that if you are opposing abortion, then you are against women. The logic is that when a woman becomes pregnant, she has to bear all the trouble of pregnancy. And often the man just goes away. So their vision is that if you are opposing that, now at an ethical level, a serious case can be made that a child, it's a person. How can you kill a person? That is true. But ethics don't operate in vacuum. There's sociological consideration. If a woman absolutely has no support system by which a child can be taken care of, even if there is no stigma for a woman to have a child, even if she's not married or whatever, but still, what happens eventually? The worst thing that can happen for a child is the child grows up feeling unwanted throughout the life. Now, I didn't want this child, but I had to have this child. It's a terrible state to live for a child psychologically. So anyway, I'm not supporting anything about the licensing of abortion, but I'm giving that as an example that imposing boundaries doesn't work unless there is some bottom-up rising of consciousness. So, with respect to phones, certainly some regulation is required. But the top-down imposition of regulation will not work. There has to be a bottom-up awareness, recognition of the need for the regulation. And then by mutual discussion, the exact boundary can be decided. Okay? So thank you very much. Shri Gopi Geet ki, Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Gaur Premanande.
हरे कृष्णा. बिफोर आई स्टार्ट माई अनाउंसमेंट, मेरा आप सभी से निवेदन है कि ये प्रोग्राम तब तक ख़त्म नहीं होता जब तक पूरे अनाउंसमेंट्स नहीं होते. तो बिकॉज सो मच एफर्ट गोज इन टू दिस, कुछ अनाउंसमेंट्स होते हैं जो सभी को बताने होते हैं. तो मेरा आपसे निवेदन है कि 2 मिनट और रुक जाए, प्लीज़ कोई ना जाए. एंड दिस इज़ अ रिक्वेस्ट, अनुरोध. थैंक यू वेरी मच. सबसे पहले एक बार हम जोर से प्रभु जी का धन्यवाद बोलेंगे फॉर शेयरिंग अस सच अ नेक्टेरियन क्लास. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Book distribution score for the last weeks are the team wise distribution. BCC Temple has distributed 27 Bhagavad Gita and small books. Ganesh Deshmukh Prabhu ji and Mataji has distributed 4 small books, 1 big book and 3 Maha big book. In total we have distributed 30 Maha big book, 1 big book and 11 small book. Big Hari Bol to them please. Okay, so they are blessed with a baby girl in their house and Prabhuji is requesting all the devotees to bless them. और आज के फीस्ट के आंशिक स्पॉन्सर, द पार्शियल स्पॉन्सर्स आज हिज ग्रेस संकर्षण हरि प्रभु जी. प्रभु जी ने सभी भक्तों से उनके दिवंगत पिताजी के लिए प्रार्थना करने के लिए कहा है और उनसे आशीर्वाद की याचना करी है. उनके पिताजी का निधन 27 अगस्त को हुआ था. तो हम सभी भक्त लोग एक बार मिलकर हरे कृष्ण मंत्र उनके लिए बोलेंगे प्लीज. कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. 2 very small announcements from the Gopal Fun School book. Okay. Amit Kamte's Prabhu's son, Yash Kamte's birthday is today, is it? So they have sponsored the feast. So big Haribol for them, please. Okay, and Suman Prabhuji has sponsored the Balram Purnima dress. So it was not announced before. So thank you, Suman Prabhuji. Is Prabhuji here? Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. And lastly, small announcements from Gopal Fun School. Number 1 announcement is the exam on book Elevation to Krishna Consciousness is on 8th September, that is today, in exactly 26 minutes after this. So please you can go and appear for the exam. और गोपाल फन स्कूल ने बच्चों के लिए अरेंज किया है फील्ड ट्रिप, दैट इज़ ऑन 22 सितंबर. और अगर आप आपके बच्चे के लिए रजिस्टर करना चाहते हैं तो आप दीप्ति माता जी से संपर्क कर सकते हैं. एंड फाइनली कैन आई सी द हैंड्स प्लीज, द पीपल हु केम टू द टेम्पल फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम. कैन आई सी द हैंड्स प्लीज, द न्यू कमर्स. Okay, please contact me after the announcement. I might have a small gift for you. So let's assemble there at the fan, please. Thank you very much.
हरे कृष्णा. तो आप में से मंदिर में जो हर संडे आते हैं, हमेशा आते हैं, उन्होंने देखा होगा कि ये नया रिनोवेशन किया है मंदिर का, जीर्णोद्धार का कार्य का काम किया है. किसको पसंद आया? एक बार अगर आपको पसंद है तो हरि बोल. तो इस काम के लिए जो आर्थिक राशि जो जिन्होंने सपोर्ट किया है वो उनके नाम इस प्रकार है. हम उनका भी आज उनकी भी प्रशंसा करना चाहेंगे. गोकुल सॉफ्टवेयर लैब्स लिमिटेड, सबके नाम करने के बाद हम एक बार हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र गाएंगे इनके लिए. शशांक चौहान प्रभु, अविनाश शर्मा प्रभु, भुवनेश्वर श्रीपद गिरी प्रभु, प्रशांत कापटे प्रभु, अजय अंबुरे प्रभु, शमित चौहान प्रभु, मयूर प्रभु तृप्ति माताजी, नारायण सीवी प्रभु, प्रदीप शंकरन प्रभु, घनश्याम कुमावत प्रभु, विक्रम कदम प्रभु. और विक्रम कदम प्रभु ने 2 अलग अलग चीजों के लिए भी डोनेट किया है. तो इन सब के लिए एक बार हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र का जप करते हैं. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. आगे देना. सो एक एक करके आप सामने आ सकते हैं और हिज ग्रेस चैतन्य चरण प्रभु के साथ इनके हाथों से गिफ्ट एक्सेप्ट कर सकते हैं. गोकुल सॉफ्टवेयर लैब्स लिमिटेड का कोई रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है? शशांक चौहान प्रभु, अविनाश शर्मा प्रभु, भुवनेश्वर श्रीपद गिरी प्रभु, प्रशांत काप्टे प्रभु, अजय अंबुरे प्रभु, शमित चौहान प्रभु, मयूर प्रभु, तृप्ति माता जी, नारायणन सीवी प्रभु, प्रदीप शंकरन प्रभु, घनश्याम कुमार प्रभु, विक्रम कदम प्रभु. कृपा करके सामने आइए. और कुछ है?
प्रभु जी ने बुक्स के लिए रिमाइंड करने का बोला है. आप बोल देते क्या? देयर आर 2 बुक्स. मतलब सबको बोला कि आप बुक्स ले सकते हैं. बुक इज रिलेशन टू भगवद गीता एंड माय लिटिल भक्ति कंपेनियन.
ठीक है.
स्पेशली दो बुक्स
हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा
कृपा करके रुके रहिए, कुछ अनाउंसमेंट बाकी है अभी.
कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे.
हरे कृष्ण. आनंद कामठे प्रभु है यहाँ पे? उन्होंने स्पॉन्सर किया आज का? नहीं है. ओके.
हरे कृष्णा. आपने आते हुए देखा होगा कि बाहर प्रभु जी के बुक्स का स्टॉल लगा है, तो आप चाहे तो वहाँ से बुक्स लेके आ सकते हैं, परचेज कर सकते हैं. प्रभु जी विल पर्सनली साइन दिस. प्रभु जी ने स्पेशली रिक्वेस्ट करा है कि वहाँ पे बुक है रिलेशन टू भगवद गीता एंड माई लिटिल भक्ति कंपेनियन. दिस बुक्स आर वेरी इंस्पिरेशनल, वेरी टचिंग एंड दिस इज कुड बी पार्ट ऑफ योर डे टू डे एक्टिविटी. तो मेरा रिक्वेस्ट है कि इफ यू वांट यू कैन गेट द बुक फ्रॉम देयर एंड प्रभु जी विल बी हियर फॉर फ्यू मिनट्स टू साइन दिस पर्सनली टू यू. हरे कृष्ण.
महाप्रसादे गोविंदे नाम ब्राह्मणी वै